Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. And tonight we're going to be speaking about the kind of mistakes people make when they're feeling a bit down. Now, when people are going through certain situations, they do tend to kind of not think straight, and they make some weird decisions sometimes that just make matters even worse. So we're going to be going through a few of those, maybe the more common ones tonight, and also getting our guest's opinion on it. So my guests tonight are actually Terri Nash, who specialises in counselling adolescents and adults, and we also have Emeka Egbuonu, who is a youth worker, and he's going to be telling us the kind of work that he's doing with young people today, and all about how he's actually helping people not to get into crime and trying to help gangs and things like that. So there's going to be lots of interesting stuff for us tonight. And if you want to take part in this program at any point, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv, and you can also give me a call on 020-7686-6300. Now, are there any bad decisions that you've made because you've been feeling a bit down? Or are you even sort of reaping the consequences of a bad decision you've made in the past? Or maybe what have you almost done that if you hadn't kind of stopped yourself, that would have got you into big, big trouble? I'm going to be sharing something that I almost did when I was feeling really down, and I know it would have ruined my life. It really would have done, but I'll share that with you in just a bit, because first I'd like to introduce my first guest, and that's Terri Nash. Hi, Terri.
Hiya.
Thanks so much for coming on the show.
That's fine. It's good to be here.
So tell us a bit about what you do.
I'm a BACP. I'm working towards BACP accreditation as a counsellor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a humanistic counsellor. I'm working with adults and young people.
Yeah.
The way I sort of work with people is in a person-centred way. So it's all about making sure that the person feels comfortable, that we build a trusting relationship so that they can sort of open up about things.
Yeah.
I don't really give people advice. I think it's more about sort of facilitating an environment where they can sort of come up with their own advice and make their own changes and choices.
And that's obviously led by some certain questions that you asked and everything like that.
Yeah. And
now, why the particular interest in young people?
My interest in young people comes from my own experience. I had counselling when I was in secondary school. There was a number of things that I was going through. I had like body issues, self-esteem issues. I was going in and out of bad relationships for the wrong reasons. And
What would you say that was? Why, for example, did you have such a negative image about yourself in the first place?
I think it was to do with the media, living up to so many expectations, and I think always being told when I was younger that I was beautiful and perfect. So almost being told that all the time made me think that if I wasn't beautiful and perfect, I wouldn't be loved.
That's quite an interesting thing, though, because a lot of people say, but my parents, for example, or people at school used to say I was ugly and I was fat, and then they get issues because of that. But I've never heard it the other way around. That's quite interesting.
It's quite interesting because obviously I had a positive upbringing with my parents, but in a way it still affected me in a negative way because it was almost like expectations were put onto me.
Yeah.
So I just found it interesting that no matter how you're sort of brought up or what environment you're in, you can still sort of develop issues. And that counselling really helped me, so I thought that I would want to help other people, especially young people, because I think it's hard for them to express themselves, and it's hard for them to seek help when it's not given to them. So
the counselling was actually in the school.
In the school, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
which was quite lucky.
I didn't
because
even know they had like.
No, they do now. They're getting more and more counsellors in schools at the moment, and that's something that I think is really important. I think that every school and college should have like an on-site counsellor. Yeah. Because I think that children and young people definitely would benefit from it.
I wasn't actually aware of them when I was at university, because I was very depressed all through college and university, and I wasn't actually aware of any counselling facilities at the time, and I think I went and spoke to one of my tutors because I was really worried that I wasn't going to pass my degree because I was so going through so much at the time. And I went and spoke to him, and he said, I'll speak to, I don't know, with the board or something. And that was it. And I didn't hear anything.
You didn't hear nothing back.
So I wasn't aware of any help or anything like that. But I just wanted to let them know, look, this is what I'm going through, and it might affect my studies, but in the end it didn't, because I still came out with a degree. But it would have been nice to have known if there was
to have some
anything.
Sort of support, or even to know there was.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
Yeah, so I think it's important that young people sort of have that support there if they need it.
Yeah, and you mentioned about relationships as well. Like with yourself, how did that come about?
I think that come from my need of being, because I felt so ugly and unattractive to people. I almost found myself being in relationships where I wasn't treated very well, but I put up with it because I thought that's what I deserved. Or I'd put up with it because I'd think, well, I won't be able to find anyone better than this because I don't deserve anyone better, or I will never be able to get anyone better. So through obviously my counselling and my counselling training, sort of being aware of why I had them issues made me realise that I could move forward and I didn't have to be in that situation anymore. Yeah. So it's almost like if something that worked for me, I want to offer to other people.
And I think, the relationship thing is definitely a big thing, because I know women especially, they really do get into bad relationships sometimes, like you're saying, low self-esteem. They maybe go for the first guy that comes along because he seems like he says all the right things, and then even though they do notice things not good about the person, the person starts to treat them badly, or they're very possessive or anything like that, they will not break it off because they think, if I don't have this guy, I don't want to be alone, and if I don't have this guy, there's not going to be anyone else for me. So, and I think sometimes the guys even say those kind of things, like, if no one else will go out with you, I'm the only one that will part with you, I'm the only one that will like you, so you should basically be lucky for what you have.
With what you've got, yeah, definitely.
So that's a horrible. And actually, I might as well tell you what I almost did, because I was going through, as I said, I was going through really bad depression, and then I had a best friend at the time, and she had a brother. He was twice my age, and he took a liking to me, and so he would sort of say to her, look, I'm going to treat her, tell her, look, I like her, I'll treat her like a princess, I want to marry her. And I hardly knew him, I just used to see him every now and then when I used to visit my friend. But the fact that he took an interest in me, and the sort of the way he was talking, like he'll make me really happy. I loved that, and because I was so miserable at the time, and because I was feeling so down and so depressed, and I thought, my gosh, maybe this guy can make me happy, maybe I didn't like him at all that. I didn't even find him attractive or anything, but I actually considered meeting with him and talking about it, and like even maybe marrying him later, because I think sometimes people are so desperate for some kind of happiness and some kind of light at the end of the tunnel that they'll do anything. And I arranged to meet him and everything, and it was I told my sister about it, thank goodness, and it was her that sort of said to me, look, what are you doing? Are you crazy? He's twice your age, he's got kids. I think I was only 18, 19 at the time. He was from a very strong religious background as well that I wasn't following myself. So it was no recipe for disaster. And it's like, but thank goodness she actually spoke to me and kind of talked me out of it, because then I was like, oh my gosh, I nearly made a huge mistake, because I was really considering it. And a lot of young girls go through these kind of things, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's really like...
It is really. I think there's a lot of reasons why people do sort of, if someone's going to give you attention when you're feeling down and needy, it's almost like you're relying on somebody else to fulfill your happiness. And as soon as someone's going to offer that to you, it's very hard when you're in a low state. You can't give that to yourself to sort of take that from somebody else.
I mean, what are some of the common issues that you think youngsters face nowadays, apart from maybe like their image, their own self-image? What other things do they go through?
I think a big issue is their home life. I think a lot of young people come from broken homes, and they don't sort of have positive role models, and they don't sort of have they don't have ambition to do anything. They don't have very good self-worth, because if your own parents haven't got time for you, or your own parents don't love you or care for you, or put some sort of invest energy into you, then why are you going to do it for yourself? So a lot of like the students in the colleges and schools that I worked with, a lot of their issues come from the fact that nobody sort of cared for them or pushed them in the right direction, and they sort of couldn't cope with not being loved or not being cared for. I think it's very hard if the two people in your life that are sort of meant to look after you and love you are your parents. And it's almost like if your own parents can't give you that, then what's wrong with you? I think a lot of kids put the blame on themselves, like their parents get divorced, it's their fault because they've been a bad kid, or their dad cheats on their mum, it must be their fault for not making the home life happy. So I think there's a lot of
kids blame themselves.
I think there's a lot of blame that they put on themselves. And there's a lot of sort of family issues. And then there's the whole confidence. I don't think many young people have confidence in themselves, or they don't know themselves well enough to be confident. They sort of just go along with what their friends expect of them or what their parents expect of them, but they don't sort of have it coming from themselves.
Do you think, like, for example, some young people, their parents maybe don't pay them much attention,
Yeah.
they've come from broken homes. Do you think they find it hard to look for other role models?
I think if role models aren't... I think it is hard to look for other role models because it's almost like, where do you begin as a young person? The only sort of role models you get is at school, and that's if you're going to school.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to sort of look for role models. You've got your siblings,
Yeah.
but I suppose if they're brought up in the same household and the same sort of circumstances, you haven't got that around you. And what's going to sit and make you think, okay, I need to look for... It's being aware that there's a problem in the first place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
it's almost like, if you're not aware that there's a problem, why are you going to change it? Children and young people, I don't think a lot of the time know much better or know different because they don't see that there's a problem in the first place.
That's right.
So
That's
it's
quite
very
sad, isn't it? So they
basic. It's
can't
all
actually deal with
emotions.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're just going to go to a break shortly. Terri, you're going to stay with us because we also have another guest coming on, Emeka, who's going to be telling us about the great work that he's doing with young people as well. But if you want to get in touch, do give us a call on 020 7686 6300. Join us after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show. We're talking about mistakes people make when they're feeling a bit down or maybe when something negative has happened. To introduce our next guest, let's take a look at this video. Oops. Something just broke. And our next guest is Emeka. Hi, Emeka.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
So tell us about that short clip there. What were we seeing there?
That was basically the official advert for the book, which I wrote, and it's basically about a friend who's about to help another friend make the right decision because he's obviously about to go and make a huge mistake. And so his journey was about making sure he can pass on some sort of knowledge and some sort of guidance, become a peer mentor to help his friend not make a bad decision, and that's what that clip
Which is what we're talking about today as well, isn't it? So you called it consequences.
Yes.
So have you spoken to a lot of young people then that maybe do negative things?
Yeah, because part of my work is dealing with young people for the last seven years. I've been working with a lot of young people and a lot of them who have, about to make, huge mistakes in their lives. And so it's all about, for me, thinking before you act, and which is why I called my program Consequences and called the book Consequences, because it's just that split second of thinking about, the possible outcomes of making a decision, and that's the important thing that saved me basically. And so that's what I try get young people to think about. Just growing up in my area, there was so many positive and negative influences because I grew up in Hackney, and so it's so easy to go down the wrong path. And so growing up around the Crib Youth Project and having positive people around me, it made me realize that I can do better for myself. And so, seeing some friends make wrong decisions, some ended up in prison and one or two ended up dead, made me realize that I can achieve more, and then hopefully I can come back and give to the community as well.
Did you have any near misses yourself, sort of things happening to you?
Yeah, just being able to make that right decision at the right time. Again, just thinking about the consequences, being the eldest in my family, making sure I don't become a bad role model for my younger siblings.
Well, that's nice that you even thought of that, because a lot of people don't. They will just sort of go through life, they'll just follow what their friends do, and they don't think about brothers and sisters that may be looking up to them. So that's quite a serious thing, because it's like you just sort of continue that bad cycle, don't you? If you just don't think about the consequences, and then you've got your brothers and sisters once saying, I want to be like my big brother, I want to do what he does, and then just end up in a mess as well.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it was a big part of me making decisions as well, and you know, wanting to make my mum proud and making sure that, you know, for me, I got to a stage where I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was ambitious, but I knew I wanted to retire my mum eventually.
Yeah.
So any of those bad decisions would mean that I might end up in prison or I might end up dead. So for me, that was my motivation. So if somebody says, let's do this, let's do that, you know, I'm not even trying to think about that, because, you know, I have so much to achieve and so many people to try and help as well.
That's great. So you're actually trying to help people before they make the mistakes, right?
Yeah, because in my work, it's all about prevention and intervention as well. So prevention is working with young people who are not involved, you know, who might be in primary school, even secondary school, but are at the fringes of, you know, around the wrong people who can influence their decision making as well. And when it comes to intervention, is working with young people who might be involved in gangs, criminality, and just basically getting them out so they can acknowledge the right decisions of what they can do to better themselves. Because for me, it's all about making sure a young person understands the right moment where they have to make a decision for themselves, because you can open as many doors as you want for them, but you can't force them to walk through it. So part of our journey is making sure that they realize that they want to walk through that door for themselves.
Now, Terri, you mentioned to me earlier as well about how you try to sort of prevent things from happening. So you sort of catch, especially young people, before they even start to get those negative emotions. Can you tell us a bit about that as well?
I think when you're working with young people, it's always quite a good time, because young people are at a time where they're trying to find out who they are. They're influenced a lot by other people. So if you can sort of catch people at that time, especially in therapy, it's a good time to sort of help young people build their self-worth, help them build their self-confidence, and help them learn how to be self-reflective. Because it's the same as what you said, like you can show them all the doors to walk through, but you can't make them walk through the doors. It's the same sort of thing with therapy. It's almost like you're not saying don't make mistakes, or trying to say, oh, I've been there, I've done that, don't do it type thing. You're almost trying to equip them that when it does go wrong, that they can notice where they're going wrong, and they can sort of take responsibility for their own actions and circumstances that they're putting themselves in, which I think a lot of people, even adults, don't do. They don't realise that it might be something they're doing or a need that they have that's causing them to be in bad situations.
Let's talk about peer pressure though, because I know this is a big, huge issue for youngsters, because they have their friends, and we've had sort of a young guest on come on before, and they say how they knew they were doing something wrong, they didn't want to go down that road, but their peer pressure was so much and they really wanted to impress their friends that they just did things that they felt so guilty about, or others didn't feel guilty, but a lot of them felt really bad for what they were doing, but they just let that peer pressure get to them. How can youngsters deal with that when, you know, their friends are there, they're saying, go and do it, go on, oh, you're an idiot if you don't do it. There's so much, it's so hard when you're going through that as a young person.
You know, in a society where everything's now based on image and how people perceive you, and it's not getting any easier for young people as well. So it's, you know, just young people make decisions based on what their friends might think of them, what everybody else that they don't even know might think of them as well. So it's much harder, but peer pressure is a big factor in my work, because I work in schools as well, and I see how, you know, other youths can influence other people to making decisions that they might not even want to make in the first place. And so even in my youth work as well, I see it all the time. So people are making decisions based on what their friends think, and not necessarily what they think is right or wrong, and which can lead them to making wrong decisions as well. And one of the big issues that we deal with, which is one of the most serious issues when it comes to peer pressure, is something called joint enterprise, which is where a young person might be involved or just be around a group of people, and then one person might have stabbed somebody, but he wasn't even aware that his friend stabbed somebody. But based on the joint enterprise, they can all be charged for murder. And so that's a more extreme case of sort of peer pressure, being around people, you know, based on, you know, we're from this area, where, you know, we're affiliated together. And so in an instance like that, there are so many young people who are now in prison because of that kind of negative peer pressure, because they feel like they have to show face amongst these other friends or so-called friends anyway.
See, I didn't even know about that. So I imagine that's something that you do tell youngsters a lot, because it's like, imagine, oh, I didn't know, but then you end up in prison and it's too late.
It's a 300-year-old doctrine that the police now use, especially for youth violence and gang culture, because it's meant to be a deterrent, but a lot of the time it's putting innocent young people away because of what their friends have done. So you've given up your rights because of somebody else's decisions.
All right, Emeka, we've got a caller as well. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hiya. What's your name?
Israel, Chris.
Hiya. What did you have to say about the topic?
The only thing is I have a little sister. She's around 13 years old. And what can you advise me? Because, you know, this world today, our days, is just messed up. And I'm a little bit worried about her, to bad choices and things like that. How can I act, or how can I do? What can I do to help her?
So she's only 13?
Yeah.
Have you seen anything, sort of any negative behaviour in her already, or is it just she's just behaving normally and you're just concerned?
I'm just a brother worried about her.
Okay, well, I mean, it's nice that you're worried. I mean, if you haven't seen anything negative, so I shouldn't worry too much, but I can understand your concerns, because to be honest, if I had kids, I think I'd be really worried in the schools nowadays. But I think maybe on your side, just to be a good big brother to her, maybe, do you have quite an open relationship?
Yeah, we do.
So she'll talk to you if she had a problem?
Nah, she's a woman. I don't think she will. I'm the first option, but yeah, I think she would.
Yeah, so at least, you know, maybe just reiterate to her that, to let her know that you are there for her if she's going for any problems at school or anything like that, that she can always talk to you, and not maybe to keep it to herself. And then maybe just keep an eye on her, because you also can't smother her as well, because, you know, kids, they feel a bit funny when we're over-protective as well. What do you guys think? What would you say to Israel?
I would say most importantly, make sure that she's got sort of an environment where she doesn't feel judged, and she feels like if there was something going wrong, she would be able to talk to him.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the time, young people don't want to express how they really feel, because they're going to be judged for it, or especially at home. I think there's so many expectations put on young people that they think it's better to just keep it to themselves, and that's when things
spell it out. Look, don't worry, whatever you're going through, I'm not going to be angry with you. Talk to me about anything. So that's
it's sort of that
important
unconditional love that they need. I think it's important.
Emeka, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have a little sister?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you keep an eye on her?
Yeah, it's she's about to go into secondary school in September, so you know, getting to that stage. But it's about, you know, instilling values and morals, and, you know, just being around them and making sure you know who their friends are and things like that. Just the little things, and hopefully you keep advising, and so when the time comes for them to make their own decisions, that you know, they can remember some of the advice, and, you know, about the people who really care about them have been given them. So hopefully, because you can't be there when they make all the decisions, but all you can do is hope and just instill those values and just keep monitoring their behaviour and your friends.
Okay, well, I hope that's helped.
Yeah, it did.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank
Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
Okay, see you. All right, so Emeka, we've actually got another video of yours as well that we'd like to show. So can we take a look at this?
It's written by Emeka, a youth worker for the Crib Youth Project based in Hackney. Walk with those who are walking, because as you walk, you are already moving forward. This gives you time to talk, think, set goals, and share ideas. Never sit with those who are sitting. Instead, get them to move forward with you.
So Emeka, that was another one of your videos. Can you talk us through it quickly?
Yeah, that was the video that the young people decided to make for the book as well, and so that was a amateur version.
Yeah.
But it's all about having that same concept as well. You know, seeing friends and making sure that, you know, some friends, they move forward, and some of their friends are making wrong decisions. But it's all about making sure you don't leave them behind. So are you willing to help your friends who are making wrong decisions?
That's really important, isn't it? Because some people do go through life and they just think about themselves, and as long as they're okay and their kids are okay, it doesn't matter about other people. But that's why I think society is the way it is today, because there aren't enough people like you both that care about youngsters and care about other people that want to make a difference in the world as well. And that's what really saddens me. So we need more of that, definitely. We need more of that, people at home. So can you tell us maybe about one of the projects that you're working on at the moment?
Right now I'm trying to work on a 4-way city exchange program. It's between London, Berlin, New York and Paris.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, so it's basically...
So you get to travel and do... Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So it's getting young people from these 4 big cities and having an exchange program, and it's all centered about arts, hip-hop and democracy as well, getting to learn each other's cultures. You know, so I had the opportunity to go to Berlin last year for one of the pilot ones where the young people from New York actually came to Berlin, and so I was just there as an observer for getting London to be involved in that. And so seeing some of the interaction, there was a language barrier between some of the New York young people and the young people from Germany, but it was just that universal language of trying to make something of yourself, you know. And so that, you know, that was a very impactful thing. And so being involved in something like that is very beneficial because it allows young people to see the world differently from just their area. Because I've had some young people from Hackney that don't feel like they can leave the area. They don't see much. For them to even go down the road, they might just be in a cab because they don't want to be seen because, you know, they have enemies here that, you know,
postcode wars and
things like that. So it's at that level to you know, opening their eyes so they can see the world, and it makes people ambitious because in 2011 I took 4 young people to Los Angeles, you know, to do a documentary about gangs. And so these are 4 young people from different parts of Hackney, you know, and these are areas that are in conflict with each other. But I told them, this is about you, it's not about what your areas are doing. It's about coming together for a positive message, going to Los Angeles, the gang capital of the world, and speaking to ex-gang members and current gang members and seeing the mistakes they have made. So hopefully London and the UK never end up in that thing.
That must have completely changed their mind frame as well.
Yes, because by the time, because I just sat back and I was just sort of filming them. They were, you know, doing the interviews. They were speaking to police officers, the DAs, you know, the youth workers, and it opened their eyes because they saw, you know, where we could be if we don't act now. And so that was their message in that documentary.
Brilliant idea. That's great. I love the work you're both doing. So all the best with it in the future, and do keep us updated on what you're doing. We have run out of time, unfortunately. But thank you so much. And after the break, we're going to be speaking to Lisa Marie with her fashion tips, and we're going to be talking a bit more about maybe some of the celebs that have made bad decisions because of things that they've been going through. But I think the main thing is that people sometimes do not take the time to think, just act by feelings. I've always got this thing against feelings. I'm always talking about feelings and not going by feelings and stuff, because we do tend to make silly mistakes when we follow our heart and we sort of just do things in the heat of the moment. So we always have to stop and think first before making decisions, because that one decision can change our whole life, and in a positive way as well. A good decision you make can actually transform your life as well. So please do think about that. We're going to go to a break and we'll see you after this.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show. Now I have the lovely Lisa Marie with me to talk about a few celebs and also to talk about some fashion.
Yes, definitely.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
What did you think about what I guess we're talking about today?
I thought it was really good. I mean, what Emeka was trying to do in terms of like the positivity, turning the negatives into positives and helping these guys to the prevention part of it.
Yeah, that's really
I thought it was absolutely brilliant, because it is so necessary before it turns into...
Sometimes we're just firefighting, aren't we?
It's like what you said, before it turns into Los Angeles, where that is actually, you know, ridiculous for gangs, to start to try to prevent it here now is really positive. So
okay, so obviously we've got our celebs, haven't we, Lisa Marie, that do get into
bit hot water.
Yeah, sometimes. They do, because of things that they go through. But let's take a look at this first photograph. So obviously we have the late Whitney Houston. Now she went through a lot in her life. She got together. Now I don't know whether she got together with someone, obviously we know Bobby Brown, that, you know, was a negative influence on her because maybe she was going through issues already, or maybe they just got together. Or do you know anything about the situation?
I think that there was always a lot of speculation about her love life, because she was never seen with anyone else. And so they started, I think, to rumours that...
She wasn't seen with anyone else?
No, when she was like growing, well, because she kind of grew up in the public eye, kind of when she got the record deal.
That's true,
and there was
actually.
a lot of rumours that she was in a relationship with her assistant and stuff like that. And so when Bobby Brown came on the scene, everyone was really shocked because he was the bad boy of R&B, and she was kind of clean living. And then the minute that they got together, it seemed after a while, at the start she was fine, but then the cracks started to appear, and you did see it in the way that she dressed, the way she carried herself, because she lost a lot of weight. I mean, she could afford to get her hair done by anyone, anytime, and the appearance, everything was just going down. So you could see straight away that there was major issues. And I know that like those pictures were when she like started to do her comeback and things like that. And so I think she was thinking, you know, more flesh on show, maybe people won't be thinking about other things, but you know, how great I'm looking and stuff like that. So it was quite evident. It's quite sad to see. Really sad. Very sad to see.
She was so sort of sweet and fresh faced and everything before, and then you just see the sudden demise. Well, not sudden, it was
because she was seen as quite a crossover artist, because she was like, because R&B and or most black singers at that time, it was either they were R&B, and she was able to make the crossover to pop, to be you know, available to everybody. Everybody liked Whitney, everyone liked dancing around the handbags to her. So she, you know, she became so popular, and then to see that decline of such a talent, because she was absolutely amazing. It was very
She was. Oh, okay, let's move to the next one then. We've also got Amy Winehouse. Now another one met up with someone that wasn't good for her.
No, and the thing is, I remember seeing her when like she first kind of graduated from the Brit School, and the first kind of performance, and the hair was just normal, you know, the makeup was normal. Wild. She was quite a curvy, you know, she had good figure. And the next thing, it was this like massive hair, the tattoos everywhere, the dressing, she, you know,
which, you know, if it, for example, some people might say, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, because, but if she was like that already, if that was her own style and that was what she liked and everything like that, but she wasn't like that before. That's the thing. No. It wasn't her thing, so she got really influenced.
It was like she didn't know how to express herself any other way, so that's why then she started to do the so much tattoos and the things that she did, and then even how she dressed. I remember seeing pictures of her, and she always used to like to wear these like ballet slippers, and obviously with the money that she made, she should be able to afford as many pairs as she wanted. But then she was in these pairs that were like dirty, and some of them were bloodied and things like that. I think from where she'd been injecting drugs into her feet and stuff like that. And so it was just, that was very sad to see, because even like on stage and there was performances, she was just incoherent and you couldn't understand anything.
Oh yeah, that was horrible when we watched that one on the news. It was all over. It was so embarrassing for her.
It was.
The poor thing. You could see she was just going down.
She wasn't. It's like she wasn't aware of it, and it did come from her being with that wrong person, because you saw her dad came out and tried.
It cost them their lives, both of them. All right, we can't say it was directly them, the boyfriends, the husband, but eventually, I mean, it influenced them so much that it did lead to their deaths. And this is what I'm saying. Sometimes decisions that we make can cost us our lives. We can't just take things lightly, especially with relationships.
Because I think in the end she was trying to get off the drugs, but she went from the drugs to alcohol. So it was just like she was replacing one thing for another, not dealing with the actual problem that was causing it. So it was a big shame.
We also have our Britney Spears. Now, not so long ago, she had her head shaved. She was going through some serious problems, drugs and everything. Do you think that was because of a boyfriend as well?
I think it was the start, because I think when she first met this guy, I think she was kind of rebelling, because before, you know, it was her and Justin Timberlake, and they were in that, you know, matchy outfits and the cute Disney couple, and it went from that to then her being with this guy who was just like the total opposite. And again, you saw it in, she didn't always take care of her appearance, whereas before it wasn't like that. You know, the hair extensions and all this kind of thing. And then when she broke down, it was just crazy in public. And I think it's what to see, because she was a young mum as well, and then to see her go from being, you know, this happy-go-lucky pop princess to being this person who you saw strapped in an ambulance being taken away in full view of the paparazzi. Again, starting from that one decision with one person, and then it's like she kind of blocked everything else out, so parents, any good influence, and was just zeroing in on this new love of her life kind of thing. So
but now with someone not linked to actual relationships, although not romantic relationships, but relationships at home, was obviously Michael Jackson. So we all know his story, that, you know, he had problems at home with his father and abusive relationships and stuff like that. So he was never happy with how he was, how he looked or anything. So then he went through all that plastic surgery, and he always had issues. So
And
it
I
was
think,
terrible.
and it shows as well how good it is to have positive people around you that are good influence, because he didn't have anybody around him. He had plenty of people around him, but no one that could say, look, Michael, this is wrong. Like, you know, there's too many surgeries or whatever else he's relying on behind the scenes. There's too many people who just said yes, instead of actually doing what was good for him. Yeah, and none of it was, in the end, was actually good for him, as it shows. And I think that's the sad thing. And it just shows the power of choosing, you know, who your friends are, making sure you've got proper people in your life who can tell you, no, you're going wrong, as well as those people who are there, your cheerleaders.
But you know what, even though, for example, maybe people watching at home and saying now, but if you're young as well, I don't have positive role models at home. You know, my parents don't believe in me, or I'm from a broken family. I've got no one to turn to. There are people that you can turn to, even if it's not members of your own family, they're not blood related, but they don't have to be. There's plenty of people that care. If you've seen like many organisations that I've brought onto the show before to talk, you know, about how they help youngsters, how they help anyone really. I'm also here for you. So if you think that there's no one that cares, I care as well. So you can always email me, chris@chrissybshow.tv, if you want to talk, if you just want a friend to talk to. You're not alone. And I think this is where people do go wrong, because they really do think that they're by themselves, that no one cares, that because their parents didn't care about them, or because maybe their father left them when they were young, that no, there's no one for them. And it's such a sad way to think, because that's not the case. There are people.
They have to look for it. It's so easy. I know that as well from what Emeka was saying, especially with the gangs, they're afraid to like leave their certain area because they're scared, so they fall into it, and it just becomes that cycle. It takes one person to break out, but there is help for them to do it.
Definitely. Okay, but let's go to the fashion now.
No
you've
problem.
got some fashion stuff to share with us before we finish.
Well, even though the weather it's turned out absolutely horrible, I could
snowing,
not believe today with snow. I was like,
I mean, a little few couple of days ago.
I like snow, but it's like there's no point in this. It's not sticking. It's not adding anything. It's just there.
It's making your face cold and your hair goes frizzy.
Oh, it's terrible. So, and also at the same time, there was London Fashion Week that just finished, and they were showing what's to come. And we know that it's supposed to be spring soon, and we know that it's going to be like full of like kind of bright colours and things like that. And that's also continuing into autumn winter. So things that you want to invest in now, you'll still be able to take into autumn winter. So that is one tip as well, because what I'm talking about today is bright clothes. Because one trend that is coming, and it's not for everyone, don't think it's for me, is neon.
Okay.
And I think
look at me.
it looks brighter on the telly.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't look so. It's quite bright.
Because there's a way to do neon, but it's not for everyone. I don't think it is for all ages. I don't think it is for everyone. Sometimes it can just be a bit much. So instead, what I've looked at is bright colours, because bright colours can be done by everybody. So this is what I've chosen to do today. Okay. So my first outfit, I've got this really nice yellow dress from H&M, and it's kind of an imitation suede as well. It's very nice, and that's $29.99. And then I think one colour that really goes well with yellow is tans. So I've got these shoes from River Island at £55. This bag, which also has the same kind of mock croc, snakeskin as the shoes detailed is, and that's £32 from Dorothy Perkins. And the chunky choker necklace is £15 from Accessorised, and those stack of bracelets are $5.99 from New Look. And the bracelets have a kind of like a leopard print thing as well, because I think leopard print does go well with tans and stuff like that. So I mean, now as it's freezing cold, obviously you can add, you know, some tan boots and stuff like that if you wanted to do it instead. But also it'll be great for when we do get a little bit of sunshine, so you can wear it as well. So that's one way. And yellow is a colour that is going to be big for spring, summer as well, even by itself. And I know that's a colour that some people tend to shy away from, but it's just about getting the right colour yellow. And what I would say is,
I like yellow.
Don't try and do it all like black and yellow, because you just end up looking a little bit bumblebee-ish. Try and break it up if you're going to do it like that. Okay. So my next outfit, I have this it's kind of like a tomatoey red blazer from Mango. And it's a bargain. It's only $34.99, and it's fully lined.
How skinny are you going to go with these jeans, Lisa Marie?
See, I think it's just the picture. It's just because actually those ones they're straight leg jeans. They're not even skinny. So I think it's just the way that we've done it on the picture. And then see, because I remembered what you were saying last week, so I went for straight legs this time. So this is their straight leg jeans. They're £14 from Georgia Asda. There's a lace detail top, and that's $29.50 from Vera Moda. I've chosen these like kind of nude shoes to go with this look because they go quite well with that tomatoey red colour, and they're a bargain at only £30 from Aldo because they're in the sale, and nude shoes go with absolutely everything. And I've teamed it with this clutch bag, and that's £25 from Oasis. And that bag, it's really cute, and it comes in yellow. I think it comes in green, you know, so you can go and have a look and see which bag you want. And £25 is not that expensive, especially from Oasis as well. So my next look, I have this. I've gone for quite a bright look here because just to go for colour, you don't always just have to go for one and team it with a neutral. Be bold with it, and red and blue do go quite well together. So this blue top, it's a split sleeve t-shirt, that's £20 from Oasis. Those slim leg trousers are £55 from M&S. The necklace to kind of bring it all together, that's £16.50 from Dorothy Perkins because it's all got like hand beaded and stuff like that. And those fab shoes are $49.99 from Zara. And I would say to anyone, go and check out Zara shoes this season because there are some at some fab prices. They start at like $29.99. Really? Yeah, and the detail on them are fantastic because some people can think Zara can be a bit expensive. Some of them, you know, it's quite like a almost mid-designer type for some of the things, but a lot of the things, the prices are amazing, and especially for what you're getting. So I'd say go and check it out.
Lovely. We've got time for one more.
Have we got time for one more? I've got one more outfit. Okay, so my last one. And another thing that's going to be big are statement trousers. Now, these ones are $16.99 from New Look. Now, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I can't wear them, I'm pear shape, or I don't like drawing attention to my bottom half, things like that. I've teamed it with this bright shirt. This is $12.99 from H&M. And if you are feeling that, oh my gosh, I don't really want to show off, you know, my bottom half, then put like a tuxedo jacket over it, or put a cardigan or something that goes with it. But anyone really can. It's just about toning down the detail in the trousers. I teamed it with these Gucci-esque shoes, which are from Zara. And they're only $39.99, whereas the Gucci ones are going to set you back a couple of £100. And then this necklace is £12 from River Island to finish off the look.
Lovely. Do you have any more?
I don't.
Oh, good. Okay, I was going to say just quickly bring it up on the screen if there are any more. I just wanted to have a look. I was curious. But okay, Lisa, thank you so much.
That's okay.
And do have a lovely weekend, everybody at home. And we'll see you again on the Chrissy B Show on Monday. If you want to get in touch at any point, do email me, chris@chrissybshow.tv. And if you want more information, you can visit the website, chrissybshow.tv. Bye-bye for now.
Yeah. What were you up to? You want to come out or something like that?
Yeah. What?
It's okay. I'm being really rude and annoying, aren't I? I don't even like me.
So have you been here before?
Sorry, he's making me laugh at being so revolted by my behaviour. I've just got all the oil everywhere.
Oh, so there is oil in it then, isn't there?
Alright.